Disclaimer, none of these fragrances are perfect. I think the #1 criteria for something perfect has to be that you love it. And automatically that makes perfection subjective. Perfection is a perception. Anyway, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's actually dive into the criteria of this list. I think these are perfect because I love them, so that's why they're in this video. And #2, they can function as year-round, all-occasion fragrances because their scent profiles and composition allow them to thrive in the heat and the cold, day or night, and dressed up or dressed down. They have a great balance of freshness with depth, and along that spectrum, some of them are more fresh than rich, and some of them are more rich or warm than they are fresh. You'll see what I mean as we go on. All of them have strong performance, and as a result, any of these could be a signature scent if you love it. Only if you love it. But if you're only looking for one fragrance that does it all, I have 10 here, not just one. Let's dive right into it. In no particular order, first one up here is an old favorite of mine, no stranger to the channel, Gentle Fluidity Silver from MFK. Such a gorgeously balanced profile. Very, very invigorating and fresh. Lots of juniper berry, which brings this gin-like freshness, cold smelling. But it is a little bit sweet with vanilla. It has a little bit of a warmth to it as it dries from amber. So automatically we have cold and warm coexisting. And you have this soft musk kind of filling out the scent, which honestly adds a little bit of a sexy quality to it. Overall, pretty simple, doesn't change a ton on the skin, but smells of amazing quality, lasts extremely long, and works for everything. Gentle Fluidity Silver. This is a fragrance that not everyone's gonna love. Obviously, not everyone's gonna love any of these, but I would consider this a little bit more mature leaning. So some younger guys may not appreciate this one. However, if you do love it, you could wear it for everything. Granted, I wouldn't really spray it super heavy in the heat because it's quite thick. It might get a little bit too thick. In fact, I've done that and it did just that. And I had people in a room I had just left complaining about how strongly it smelled in there. So
my bad.
Gravitas Poro from Norton & Wilson, a brilliant fougere. This is old world meets modernity. It does smell like your classic barbershop style scent. There's a cleanliness here, there's a bright soapiness here, but there's a rich, sweet, almost creamy vanilla mixing with deep moss. And it just smells of gentlemanly elegance, but it is such a profile that you could wear it casually. I would wear it in a white t-shirt like this. I would dress it up. You could wear it day or night, again, because it can be casual in a t-shirt, wear it during the day. Because it is quite elegant, you can dress it up at night. And because of how thick and rich it is, again, it does just fine in the cold. Even though I would call it a mostly fresher profile, it is quite dense. So works for everything. Gravitas Poro. Let me know if you dig this one. Up next is the fragrance that basically inspired this video. And to go even a step further, it was inspired by Grace. I wore this fragrance the other night and she was loving it. And she kind of went on this rant. I wish I got it on camera. She just went on this like 5-minute rant about how amazing this fragrance is and why. And not just,
it smells sexy, it smells manly.
No, she was kind of diving in and dissecting the scent, and I was just sitting there like, whoa. But it turned into a great conversation. And it got me thinking, and I immediately had to write down this video idea. Fragrance we're talking about is Oligarch Parfum from Raja Parfums. Now, when they sent this to me, whenever it came out, maybe earlier this year, I was immediately skeptical, and I think it's because I was biased. I have the original Eau de Parfum version of Oligarch, which has been an immediate love and long time love for me for years now. So I thought, how could they top it? How could they really make it better? I don't know if they made it better, but they did refine it. They did kind of round out the edges. They made it a little bit less sharp. They made it a little bit warmer, and it makes it so that it actually behaves like a parfum. It's not gonna project like crazy. It's not super bright enough. There is still some citrus and fruit in here, but it's gonna sit on the skin a little bit longer, and it's gonna radiate slower but denser and leave that trail. And it just works beautifully as a result for warm or cold, day or night, dressed up or down. A brilliant profile, a wonderful DNA. Unfortunately hard to find, at least at the moment. I'm hoping that it comes back. We'll see about that. But brilliant scent, can do it all. Oligarch Parfum from Roger Parfum. From the house of Argos, I would say one of their more versatile options outside of the Pour Homme, which is wonderful, but I don't really reach for the Pour Homme in the winter time. The profile itself just doesn't really seem to suit cold to me, even though it could probably last just fine, but I just don't reach for it. I reach for this one though. I wear this all year round. It is one of the more polarizing options from them. It does thrive in the heat. It really thrives in the cold as well. Definitely more on the fresher side, but has a deep smokiness and leather quality that makes it just fine for the colder months. Brivido della Caccia. Again, not one everyone's gonna love. This is a little polarizing. It's very green. It's kind of sharp smelling. Mate and juniper berry working together here. So that sharp green tea-like nature of mate that's quite herbal mixing with the very astringent and cooling nature of juniper berry. Very, very specific taste here. But that is enveloped in a little bit of sweet tonka bean, a lot of smoky birchwood and leather, making it have quite a bit of depth. And this thing lasts forever, and for some reason, it's sexy. On my skin, when I dress it up especially, it just radiates, it gets my wife's attention. She always loves this fragrance. Definitely a wife wooer.
Try it!
Yes, a term that I made up, and it's dumb, but I'm sticking to it. Brivido della Caccia does it all. Fresh 10, which is the discount code, will get you 10% off any purchase at Argos. So check this out if you want, or get the Discovery set. You can try all 8 of their fragrances, at least at the time I'm shooting this. That's how many they have, for a pretty decent price, and pick your favorite. All right, for all you guys who like your blue fragrances, your designer, easy to wear, masculine freshies, this fragrance is for you, but this is not a designer fragrance. It is a mainstream fragrance though. The profile itself was intended to appeal to as many people as possible. It might even remind you of some other things, but not directly. All in all, it is its own thing. It's extremely pleasant. It's a beautiful scent, and it can do everything if you love it. This is from Masi. This is called Into Me for Him. They have a For Her as well, which Grace loves to wear. One of her signature scents right now. It smells incredible on her. Also can be just as versatile any day of the year, any time of the day. That one works well too, just like this one. They're meant to be signature scents. Fresh watermelon, beautiful, juicy, cold watermelon, maybe with some citruses, a little bit sweet and fruity as a result, but has some legs with some woods, maybe some spices. It is kind of a generic profile, but well composed, great quality here. It's going to have stamina. It sticks around when you need it to. I was really surprised by it. And again, it can function for any occasion. I do find it a little casual, but I think because of its quality and of its lasting power, I think it works really well as a slightly more semi-formal scent. Check out the link down below if you're interested. All right, now let's actually talk about a designer fragrance, one of the newest additions to my collection, and at least at the time I'm filming this, the newest fragrance released from the house of Hermes. Yes, H24 Eau de Parfum. I'm not gonna talk too much about it because I did review it. Kind of. I did a first impressions review comparing it to its original and kind of breaking it down. This is one of my favorite releases of 2022, easily. This tops the list, top 5 for sure. Definitely reminiscent of the original, which is that sharp, fresh, kind of green metallic scent that is a little unusual, but also quite accessible, can function as a daily wear or nightly wear or yearly wear. And I get pretty decent performance out of it, but a lot of people say that they don't. This is a good 8 to 10 hours on me. It smells richer and warmer and denser, but still a little bit fresh, but ultimately makes that original eau de toilette more refined, more classy, but still carries the DNA, which is more on the casual side. So therefore, functions dressed up or down. Because it is denser, it is gonna last better, cold or warm. If you weren't a fan of the original eau de toilette, you might actually like this. So keep that in mind. H24 Eau de Parfum.
We have a powerhouse here.
This might be the strongest fragrance in this lineup. Very, very possibly. From Amouage Beach Hut Man. Very, very green. very green and minty. You have ivy in here, you have lots of vetiver. You gotta like a very green fragrance, maybe some oak moss as well. Almost a little bit old school, so keep that in mind. Extremely green, very invigoratingly minty, but so rich, very woody, has a bit of this dry woodiness in the background, has some sweet myrrh resin acting as a glue, holding things together. Again, adding a little bit of sweetness, which gives it some dimension, so it's not just green woods. There's some interesting, warm, kind of balsamic feeling in there. Ultimately smells very gentlemanly, a little bit mature again, but I think the freshness allows it to be casual. I could wear it in a white tee, but I would easily dress this guy up day or night. And again, because it is so almost annoyingly powerful, any time of the year, it's gonna be great. That's Beach Hut Man. Up next is a modern classic. This is a love by so many people, and I know why. It is a unique take on this genre. It is reminiscent of fragrances before, not any particular ones, but just the genre and the heritage of this genre, but it's taking it into the future with just some, again, unique elements. And we're talking about Zaharoff's signature poro. Now, I will admit, I love this fragrance. However, it's not my favorite from the brand. There's others I like even more and I wear more. However, every time I do come back to it, I really enjoy it. It is a fougere. It does have that barbershop feel. Sweet, creamy, fresh, spicy, woody, little soapy, lots of lavender in here, lots of lavender. And this one is a little different by way of some pear, some oud, sandalwood. So it has a lot of dimension here. It smells very clean and classy, but at the same time can be super casual. And it does have some decent longevity, I would say. So it will stick around on the skin even in the colder weather. It's not really gonna project a ton. So if you're looking to smell it all around you all day long, you may not get that, but it will be on your skin. And people might have to get a little bit close, but that's okay. I would typically wear this in professional settings, so you don't want to be choking people out anyway, but it also works casually just fine. You can get a big bottle too, so if you got to reapply, just reapply, it's fine, but lovely stuff. Can work for anything. It's really in the name, signature poro. Check it out at the link below. This is probably the cheapest fragrance on this list. Easily you can find this 20 bucks or less at the fragrance discounters, which I'll have linked below. Kind of a throwback here. 1989 release, definitely smells like the early 90s. Might remind you of an uncle or two, but I think it's still a stunning profile, beautifully composed, especially for the price you can get it. Very complex too. Homme from Alfreds. This is a soapy, extremely soapy, borderline fougere, but not bona fide fougere. Mostly a lot of clean soapy, like lavender and aldehydes. Very bright, very, again, clean, almost white smelling like clean laundry or just straight up soap. But a lot of depth here. You do have this bit of ambery warmth that's almost sweet as it dries down. Maybe some pine in there, keeping it green, keeping it fresh. Lots of woods, lots of everything going on in this fragrance. Again, a little bit dated perhaps, but not overly so, can ultimately just smell very clean. And for those of you who are maybe 30 and up, might be a little bit nostalgic. Might remind you of some people you grew up with and how they smelled, or maybe you got your hands on this yourself when you were young. But definitely worth checking out, especially for the price. Alfreds Homme, great all year round for any occasion. And finally, from the House of Fragrance Dubois, one of the fresher offerings, but not overtly fresh. Even though in the name you're gonna see the word blue, or bleu, technically. That's oud bleu intense. I feel so ridiculous saying it like that, but this is a strange one. It smells a little blue. It is kind of like these fresher, modern blue fragrances that you know and probably love and wear, but with so much more depth and interest here, and not overtly blue. Like I said, there is a freshness here, maybe some citrus, but mostly fresh resins, a balsamic feel with that oud that is not super upfront. It just adds some woody depth, it adds some legs so it sticks around a bit. And there's a rich density here, so it hangs in the air, but it ultimately smells a little bit fresh. And it works casually, but because of its composition, I think it's gonna work great dressed up as well, and you want a little bit more of a clean, elegant feel, but it works all year round. Fresh for the summer, a little bit more dense for the cooler weather. Beautiful stuff, easy to wear, especially for a niche scent. Definitely worth getting a sample. Do not blind buy it, it's not cheap. Get a sample if it sounds interesting. Gonna have links down below. But that is Oud Bleu Intense from Fragrance Dubois. That's it. Let me know what you think of the picks. If you've tried any of them, check them out at the links down below. And thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.